Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. This today is a masterclass. And as you know, on the masterclass, what I do is I get people who are in the arena, who are getting battered, bruised, but you know what? They're fallen 7, but they decide to get up 8 times. And that's what I want. I want people, I don't want theory. I want people who are practical, who are in it. So today, I've been watching this man progress for a year now almost, I think, if not
Yep.
a little bit over, right?
A little bit over.
I have Daniel Kreisel here, and he's from the US, and I'll let him tell his story, but I've just been watching him, and he's inspiring to watch as his growth, and it's gone exponential in the last 6 months, I would say. And this is why I say I got to get him on here, because he's exactly, when I talk about the personal mastery training journey, this is what I'm talking about. It's personal, and it's an idea of mastery, this consistent process towards becoming more of who you are, your authentic self. And we're discovering that all the time. And so that's what we want to dive into, chop it up a little bit, and welcome him here. Daniel, welcome, my brother.
Man, thank you, man. Really feel privileged to be here and humbled for sure. So like I was said, man, I'm from South Louisiana, small town called actually Scott, Louisiana, which is like a dot, outside of another small city called Lafayette. So usually if I travel, we just say we're from Lafayette. And if people don't know where that is, I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
yeah, man, started personal training about a year and a half ago out of my garage. Only had one setup, about 6 months into that, man, found you guys at TRM, and I just got my plaque. If some of y'all know, you get a plaque at every milestone you get, and the plaque just represented so much more, than the money. The plaque is cool, the money's cool, but looking at that plaque, and I don't know if you've even seen that when I tagged all y'all in it, I tagged y'all over the plaque. Because like when you click on that photo, it blacks out the plaque, and it's all my mentors, and it's all the people that carved my mind pretty much. So that's why I put y'all all on that plaque. So when somebody clicked on it, boom, the plaque's gone. This is what it's about, but yeah, just inventing myself, in the last 2 years, I would say, stepping out, making those leaps, is what really, started carving my mind.
Yeah. So tell me about, so everyone, so that's a success. Daniel is figuring out, he's getting to a level of quote unquote success. And he's grown in so many ways, and spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and I've seen it. And even right now, he's on his journey to a competition, to compete. He's training, and I've even seen him go deeper and deeper. There's levels here. He's getting down into levels that I'm witnessing, and I'm pleasure to watch it. But
Yeah.
let's go back. You said in the last 2 years. Let's go back 5 years ago. Where were you 5 years ago? And yeah, where were you 5 years ago even?
5 years ago, I was actually took a step back 5 years ago. Me and my wife, we had just gotten married. Probably the roughest year of our marriage was our engagement year. Oil field crashed. I had just gotten a big raise that had gotten taken away from me. So we had gotten married, get into a little debt when you get married. We didn't have a huge wedding, but we did, like 10 plus thousand, something like that, and a couple credit cards. So we had to take a step back and actually move back in with her dad. So for that year, we just we focused on money and how to become, financial. Basically, Dave Ramsey. We followed his guidelines, and that's what actually kind of put me back on to the fitness journey. I played baseball and sports my whole life, but coming out of high school, drank a good bit, hung out with drug addicts, and kind of had that lifestyle going on. So going back and taking that step back, I had to disconnect from them for a little bit to save money. So I got back into fitness, got my first coach. So focused on that, and then once we saved up some money, was able to buy a house, and that was when I built my garage gym and kind of had my own thing going on. And what else? 5 years ago too is I was trying to progress at my job. I was in the oil field I was a young guy at that time, probably about 5 years ago, 27.
Mm-hmm.
I seen some opportunities within my business that I was at. It was a small business, mom and pop is what we called it.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in the oil field, there was money to be made. So I was trying to just work my way up that ladder. I was a road guy, is what we called it. I drove around in a truck and I'd go to different locations and inspect their oil field tools to make sure it wasn't damaged before it went
Right.
offshore.
Right.
So really started working my way through the ranks right there. That's when I kind of realized, all right, my presentation has to be there. I can't hold myself like 21-year-old Daniel did. So,
Mm-hmm.
started fixing my hair for work, wearing, my fitness and all that. And actually became a supervisor at a Halliburton account where I was supervising 20 something people,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was late 2019, so
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty much my pinnacle over there. Me and
Mm-hmm.
another guy, we went into this facility and we wrecked shop on it. Like I'm talking, that was when I realized I was a hard ass. I was like, man,
Mm-hmm.
we would get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and me and him, we would have to stay later than all the other guys. We would work all day long and then build the systems for what we were planning on these guys to do, like the paperwork side of things and trying to make it as systemized as possible. So when we plug in, a guy who's just hired, he could do it. A 5-year-old could do it, is what we say. And there's some long nights, beat me up real good, set this place up running smoothly, and then COVID happens.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I do now that I think separates me and my old self is I used to dwell on things. When something bad happened, I was like, man, let me go have a couple beers, and I'll just talk a bunch of crap about it, and then next day just get back to work. Woe is me. In 2020, that's when I started realizing, like, hold on, this is an opportunity. So when the oil field down here crashed, they pretty much kicked us out that account because it was so big, so many people in one facility, that they shut it down for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, First blessing that I did was before COVID hit in 2019, I bought myself as a Christmas present my garage gym.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to do it, and had a wild hair, and spent like $5,000 on one side. I told my wife I didn't want to park in the garage. I'll make that a gym. So I bought the power rack, some dumbbells, stuff like that. Never touched it for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Spent $5,000 on it,
Right.
man, and it just
Uh-huh.
sat there. And even still have my gym membership. I go to the gym. I'd walk by and she was pissed.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
But when they shut everything down, I was able to like really self-discipline again. It's like, all right, I gotta go to the gym. There's nothing else to do. I have the time, I have the resources to eat healthy, and there's no more excuses here. So
Mm-hmm.
really started working on my fitness again. And that I lost the 40 pounds to my cycle when I was working out, man. I'd lose it was 40 pounds. It was always 40. Don't know
Right.
why. I'd get to 220. I'd say, man, I'm fat. And then I'd lose 40 pounds. I did that 3 times very easily.
Mm-hmm.
This fourth time, I was 29 years old and it just was not working.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, man, I was in the gym sweating my ass off. I was eating right, and the scale just stayed the same. So instead of quitting, I started measuring my waist. I started measuring my arms and my legs, and I started noticing that was moving. So I was like, all right, cool, things are happening. So
Yeah.
just stay moving, stay going forward.
Yeah.
End
Mm-hmm.
up, losing the 40 pounds, get my first real bodybuilding coach, my friend Andre Hagel, who's a local legend down here, big gorilla type guy. And he set me up because he was in the oil field too. He was doing the exact same thing as me. So to see a guy who's 280, walking around, hitting his meals, I'm like, okay, this is the guy I need to get around. So
Mm-hmm.
got around him, and he set me up in my first growth phase, you know, and that was when I started. I think I'm a firm believer too. Like I'm a personal trainer, so I like to think, when does the turning point happen for most people? I think the true turning point in any, health journey is going through a real good growth phase. That's when you can conquer like eating habits and what's the eating disorders, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, because you're
Right.
eating at a high clip, but
Mm-hmm.
you're still being disciplined. It's like, okay, I can't just go eat a hamburger. Oh, I can't
Mm-hmm.
just go eat pizza. Yes, I'm eating 3,000 to 3,500 calories, but it's apples, oranges, potatoes, grilled chicken. You're getting creative with your meals, but you're staying between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you can do that and get to the other side of that growth phase, that's when you can look and be like, hey, I'm about 20 pounds up. I got back up to 220, but I looked a totally different person. So
Mm-hmm.
once you can get your mind wrapped around that, I think that's when, like, if anybody's watching this and has an eating disorder or anything like that, and they're always dieting, go through a really good growth phase, 6 months, and I think at the end of that, you'll kind of get out. But that was pretty much my journey from the 5-year mark. Not long after that is when history right now is going on.
Love it, love it. So it sounded like, did you have a vision? Let's go beyond. Let's go early youth, high school, elementary school,
Yeah.
grade school. Did you have a vision for something better for yourself, or were you targeting anything, or what's the deal?
Always, man. My dad worked offshore my whole life. And my dad, great guy, but he loves going offshore. He brags about, man, I just did a 50, 60-day hitch, but as an 8-year-old kid, I didn't find that to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a kid and seeing, like, friends, that I go to their house and their dad's a business owner. I
Mm-hmm.
remember at a very young age, like, asking my dad, hey, why you don't open your own business? And he'd be like, they never even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even ask my mom. My mom has a couple college degrees, but never thought about opening her own business. And I always used to be like, man, why? Why y'all don't do it? So
Mm-hmm.
I always had this, I wanted to do it by myself, you know? And again, personal training gets brought into it because I grew up with not much authority, you know. My parents divorced when I was 4. Dad was offshore a lot. We actually grew up in a Pentecostal church. So I don't ever want my mom to think like I'm disrespecting her when I say this, but she missed a lot of her party times and ways to express herself, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So once we got out of the church and she, her and my dad were separated, she had a couple boyfriends. She was out there partying a little bit. So it was me and my sisters at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have much authority,
Right.
so coming into this personal training and owning your own business, man, and you know it better than anybody. You are your own boss. Nobody's going to tell you a deadline. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, you got to make it to the TRM call at 10. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, you got to reschedule these people. You got to
Mm-hmm.
build that SOP.
Yeah.
It's you. It's all you.
Yeah.
And the same with training. You got
Mm-hmm.
a coach, you pay him $300 a month. He cannot follow that plan for you. That's the
Mm-hmm.
discipline.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer now that discipline is the ultimate freedom. You know, um, I don't think if I'd have had that as a kid, I wouldn't be who I am. So again, I see that at the time I didn't see it as an opportunity, but now reflecting back on my childhood, man, I wouldn't change anything.
Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking about, so here's the theme. I'm always listening to what people are saying, but they're not saying.
Yeah,
Here's what I'm picking up for our audience listening too. What I'm catching here is you're able to somehow pivot. You're really great at pivoting. I can see that in your history. Something's not working. Okay, I need to pivot. So COVID happens. You pivoted. You you got this garage gym. You pivoted. So a couple of things I'm going to get from that. One, how much do you believe in having faith and fate? Because you got this gym without any real intentions of doing what you're doing now, but it sat there for a while and COVID happened. And now it's created what you're doing now. It
yeah.
spurred on what you're doing now. So if someone's out there, talk about faith and trust in the process.
This process in the last 2 years, I'm not a big religious guy. I never was, but this process in the last 2 years has truly made me believe that there is something bigger than us. Because, like you said, that garage was planted there for a purpose before I knew the purpose. So blessed that because and that's why I went to bring it up. I bought it in 2019. COVID happened 2 months later, and garage prices went through the roof.
Crazy.
There was no way, if I wouldn't have bought that in November of 19, there's no way I get all of that equipment in time and able to start that process.
So,
It's a
so, sorry to cut you off, but
no.
before, keep that thought. And I want you to think about tell me where the other people in the oil fields are doing now. Some of the ones who stayed and said, let me hold on to the security and it's going to
Yep.
come back, all this kind of thing, versus you pivoted from the oil field and now you're doing this. But quickly, continue where you left off. But tell me where you think everybody is now who worked with you in the oil field.
I know exactly where they are because I live 3 minutes away from my old shop. I
Mhm.
moved to this house because I'm on the same road as that shop. I'm up
Mhm.
into those guys at the gas station all the time. Love them to death. All great people. They talk the same way. They complain about the same things, the same type of work they're doing, and that scares the shit out of me. Sorry
Mhm.
for my language,
Yeah, man.
but it scares me when I talk to them every time, man. It's like a reassurance that, like, thank you, thank you, God, that I'm out. I'm out. You
Right.
know, I work more than I ever have, but usually on my rides, I ride in silence in my truck. And after those conversations with those guys, I'm like, bless it, man. Thank you. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm. Love it.
so yeah.
So go back now, rewind now. Let's go back on the topic of faith, having
Yep.
faith,
Okay.
because faith is the belief in something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yep.
And then fate, the law of attraction.
Yep.
Like you bought this gym, who no one knew a pandemic, worldwide pandemics coming down the pipe in the way it did. And this gym, hey, let me secure half of this gym for this garage for this thing, and prices blew. And then you
Yep.
had a couple more things that happened, serendipity again, that was timing. So tell me about faith and fate.
So, man, before this, I had no faith. I really wasn't like I said, I grew up in the church. So I grew up, I would say I'm a very open-minded person,
Mhm.
so I like
Yeah,
to look at all religions. I've actually,
definitely.
you being from Jamaica, my favorite
Mhm.
religion is Rastafarian,
Yeah,
like looking at that type of, hey, just be a
yeah.
good person, do good by
Mhm.
people, and the universe will do good by you. That
Mhm.
was actually my favorite religion. So I had
Mhm.
actually made a potluck of my own type of
Mhm.
religion. That's why I
Mhm.
never want to say, you know, this is even now today, I won't ever project anybody to go to one type of religion.
Yeah,
I believe in God, and
yeah.
that is the idea of whatever I want it to be.
That's it.
So, but I would say when I bought that gym, I had no faith. I wasn't an anti what you call it, but I never spoke to God. I never thanked Him for anything. Everything was because I worked so hard. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
but the gym happened during COVID too. I got certified and that's when I started kind of thinking like, man, I want to do this. A few people had asked me to help them, so during COVID too, wrote some little rinky dink meal plans for them, helped a few women lose some weight, but nothing crazy. But then I got back into the oil field once it kicked back up, right? And so we start running and we could just never, me and my bosses could never mesh, because they were still, we were the only company working now, so we had that burden of we were the only people going in. The road guys are still chilling at their house, so we having this animosity. They would pop in every 3 months and they just were sitting at their house for 3 months, and then they come and like, hey, your spray cans are messed up, hey, fix this, fix that. So some animosity started happening, and that's when I realized in this time, this was the summer of 21. And
Mhm.
this is when I realized, okay, I'm at my pinnacle here. There's no growth going to happen, And so I started talking this shit about this idea that I wanted. And
Mhm.
everybody started pretty much not doubting me, not telling me like, hey, you can't do it, but hey, that's
Mhm.
hard. Hey, that's that.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, that's kind of why I want to do it.
Mhm.
I believe I could do it. So animosity started building up with them. I decided to quit and go to a different company. So that was my first blessing. Was I had to break that comfort from this company I was with for 9 years
Mhm.
and go to another one. And the way I did that was because I was making really good money. I was making close to 100,000 a year for the last 3 to 4 years. And my wife had just got out of college, doing nursing. So she only been a nurse for 6 months. So for me to quit the oil field, like
Mhm.
cut bone dry, was a stupid decision. So we had to be smart. So what I did first was I switched to another company. They paid me a little bit more, gave me a little bit more freedom. I was traveling to Texas a good bit, but this company was ran by 3 different people, like literally 3 different owners, 3 different personalities, and it just was all over the place. So I got at, and this is another point that you brought up that I thought of. I pivot, right. A quote I live by is, if you're going to quit quick. If I said
Mhm.
that right, quit
Yes.
quick.
Quick. Yeah.
If you realize like that, there's no shame in quitting if you quit early. If you know like something's not right for you, or it's not, hey, this isn't meshing, this isn't work. Hey, get out. You know, like, oh, that's not working. You know, same what you're doing with your clients. You know, if you're doing everything we do is science at the end of the day. You know, even just I might implement the same plan for you as I would for Matthew Park, but you might be progressing and Matt might not. Right? I need to pivot on Matt quick. I need to quit whatever we're doing quick. So I learned that around that time. I started listening to self-help books and podcasts. I was traveling to Texas. I would listen to podcasts for 3 hours there, 3 hours back. You know, educational stuff on just the mind, pretty much, and spirituality, actually. But quit that company, and that's when I realized, okay, I got to do this. I got to figure it out. Blessing again, within this time frame of wanting to quit this job, prices went down on garage stuff again. And I wouldn't say like, you know, sky down, but they were down again. And I noticed that while I was still at this company. So I bought a lat tower. I bought another squat rack. I bought a couple more pounds of weights, bought a leg curl, leg extension machine. Get that in, start setting up my garage, put in my 2-week notice to this company. I go back on the same website, and it wasn't a sale. It wasn't a, you know, fire sale or anything. Go back on the same website, Alvin, the next week or the next 2 weeks, something like that, to kind of check. All right, I still got some money. I want to buy some more stuff. Everything went up $250. I bought a leg extension, a leg curl for all $500. Go back to check some stuff. Boom, $750. Now the rack I just bought, $1,000. I'm like, what the? Also, all the weights went back up to $250 instead of, you know, $1.75. So blessing right there. And I recognized that. I was like, ooh, I got lucky. Or did you get lucky? Was that fate? Was, you know, and then I started thinking, I was like, man, I can't be getting this lucky all the time. A smart move I made too was in this, right when I quit about a month in, I realized I need to get around somebody local. I had a coach out in Austin who's a great guy, Brandon Cooper, with Team Mahaley, and he was a great guy and everything. But I realized, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I need to go around somebody who's gonna be around me personally. So I find Jace Lopez, you know, and I see him and I'm like, okay, this guy's pretty good at bodybuilding. He's a big guy, you know, but he's also very smart. And what Jace would do before I even signed with him was he would give me a lot of information, you know, just free. But I'd be like, hey, what about this? You know, and he'd give me a paragraph. So my first thing is, before I quit, I actually reached out to Jace for a job. Again, fate. He had just hired 3 people the week before. So he told me no. He's like, I can't, man. You know, your friend Stefan's his brother-in-law, and me and Stefan grew up together. He's like, Stefan's told me great things about you. He's like, I can't, man, but I encourage you to do it yourself. He's like, get out the garage, get started. He's like, when I have an opening, I'll get you. I'm pretty sure he has all of those coaches still. Not one of them left. So that's good for him, but better for me. But but getting around Jace, I hired Jace as a coach. You know, and getting into that circle, I'm a big community guy, team player, you know, so I really feel like, you know, I helped Jace build a little community here because me and him empower that, you know, that mental, that physical, and that spiritual, you know, so me and him together really made a powerful team. And I think I kind of helped cultivate his clients too, and, you know, bring that energy to his team. But that was a real crucial moment for me. That was the one that I made that decision, that like a business move, right? I seen that. I said, I need to get around this guy. He's going to help me grow. And Jace has taught me so much as far as like hormones, biomechanics, the mastery of the mind, man. Like Jace is in TRM for a reason, not just because he looks good and he's big. Jace is a motivator when it comes down to it, right? He's going to be the guy in front with the battle axe, you know, Mel Gibson, out there. That's how I see Jace, you know, like, but also he's a big teddy bear. Like, I love it when people are like, oh man, Jace is so scary. I'm like, dude, have you talked to him? Have you talked to this big guy?
Exactly.
Yeah. In the set, he's like screaming, but like when he gets out, he's like, man, that was crazy. like literally, that's how he comes out of his set. It's awesome. But that's what I think like a real warrior, you know, should embody too, is like, we could turn it off and on whenever we want.
Absolutely.
But man, what else can I get on? Some fate stuff.
No, listen, I've got it.
I'm rambling.
No, I got it. I love listening and taking notes, because I've got your All right, everybody listening, listen. NLP is about if someone success leaves clues. If someone is doing something, you can actually, all you have to do is find out what they do, the process, how they do it, and you can actually have what they have. So check it out. I think I've got Daniel's blueprint here. Number one, decide. And when you think about decision, it means to cut off. The Latin term desire, to cut off all other options. So you cut it off, you make a decision. So he says, quit quick. Quit quick. So when you decide, they say that change doesn't take very long. It's the decision to change that takes long. So there's number two for Daniel. Quit quick. Once you decide, don't look back. Burn your ships. Quit quick.
Yes.
The universe loves speed. It loves speed. And if you didn't act before the pandemic, 2019, you would have been stuck. If you didn't act to leave the comfort zone of 100K a year, because you got married, he has the responsibilities, but he quit quick. He made a decision, quit quick. Number three, he's got 5 blueprint here. I'm revealing them. I'm revealing his secrets. Number three, he's asked for help. He's constantly, I'm looking at that. With his pivot, he doesn't do it alone. He asks for help. He scouts out who he thinks is going to fulfill his need that fits his model, and then he asks for help. And then be ready to pivot. If it doesn't work, if something's not working, as he talked about putting someone on a program, if it doesn't work, he pivots real quick and puts in what works. And number 5, he's curious. He stays curious. He doesn't get comfortable. Too many of us, I love this idea of quitting quick, because so many people in different relationships stay in too long. Let's take a personal relationship. How many people do we know stay in a personal relationship because they've invested so much, even though it's not working? They invested though time. I can't right now. I put in 5 years into this and I can't, but it's not working. Both of you aren't happy, but I put into quit quick. To make decision, quit quick. Your job, quit quick. Make the decision. Calculate the risk, mind you, but quit quick once you make the decision. And all of a sudden, the universe starts placing things in your path to fulfill the need when you did it. And that's what's happening. That's what I'm reading from you, is all of those 5 steps are your blueprint for success. Is making a decision, quitting quick, asking for help. Though when you quit quick, you're getting support, and then you're ready to pivot based on that. If it's not working, you're constantly being curious and pivoting real quick to make sure it works down the path.
I would say that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I have no shame in asking for help or reaching out,
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing with men too, is I talk about my emotions a lot, as a big guy, I'm supposed to be the man. Man, I talk, bro. Hey, I'm not feeling well today. Hey, today's, I'm transparent with my clients about that. Going through prep, your brain's gonna be a little fuzzy. It's gonna be kind of all over the place, So being transparent with my wife, with my friends, with everybody around me, I think is a huge one too, and never having shame in being transparent and asking for help and knowing when to ask for help, because it's all cool we can figure it out. But if I can ask Alvin Brown, hey, would you mind giving me some advice on how to get to a book? And my friend right here gives me 6 minutes of his time, then that's beautiful.
So I've got number 6 and number 7 now. I'm getting them, everybody. I'm getting them. I'm taking them. They're yours. So number 6.
You're gonna have to send this to me, because I need.
Yeah, I got number 6. I got number 6, brother. It's vulnerability, being vulnerable.
Yes. Big lesson there. Big lesson there.
Number 6 and number 7, gratitude. Remember what he said when he put on that plaque. He put everybody's name on that plaque that got him there. That gratitude opens him up for more goodness to come rolling in. So I've got 7 practical strategies there. I don't know if there's another one, but here's my so my next question for you is this. You've gone through the journey, mom divorce, you've gone through some things with, your influences, early influences. You're pulled away from drugs and alcohol, the pull of ego in sports and being a big guy and being around influenced friends, and so many things that draw down the average person to stay the same, and you've pushed them back. You've somehow been able to find the courage to keep stepping forward in vulnerability and the 7 steps that we've come up with so far. Where do you see yourself now? The big question is there a big, hairy, audacious goal? Is there a massive transformative purpose for you, MTP, as I've heard Peter Diamandis say?
Yeah.
Is there, where are you going? What's the end goal here? Do you have one?
So there's no end goal.
Mm-hmm.
There's never, I don't ever want to stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say, where's my pedestal where I think, okay, this is big time Daniel.
Doubling down on it. What are you going to double down on?
What do you mean?
Meaning your impact. At the end of the day, when we remember Daniel,
I want to be a motivational speaker, like a CT Fletcher, not a CT, is a CT, those guys I want to be like a motivational speaker, man, like freaking Ray Lewis, Jocko Wilkins, David Goggins. I think when my journey's done, I want to step on stage and like we're doing right now. There's somebody out, I'm 32 years old. There's somebody out there right now who's 29, who's 40 pounds overweight, who, probably got a shit job and doesn't know where to go. And he's like, man, why me? And that's the question that, we all ask ourselves. How, is it how me? Why me? Why not you should be the question. Why not you? Why can you not? Like I was talking to my wife the other day, and she had asked somebody about, how to write a book. Same as I asked you. What did you give me? Encouragement and advice, right? Because your brain has been there before.
Yeah.
This same person who she looked up to gave her doubt. Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's this. It's because their mind can't perceive it. They can't perceive them doing it. So this person that's asking them can't do it. I forget where I was going with that.
Yeah, but that's again, where you're going to go with them. The ultimate question is what I was asking you too, is you want to make an influence, you want to make an impact with your speaking and you're actually doing it. What I love about your content, and I definitely know, I shouldn't say I know you're going to become what you want to become, because you're not really out there. You're out there doing it. As I said earlier when I started this podcast, you're in the arena.
Yeah.
Your posts are authentic. They're not, oh, let me pump you up and don't do the work behind a facade. You're actually doing it, and you're allowing us to come on this journey with you. And so what I watch, real recognize real. So what I watch with you is he authentic? And the information you're putting up are coming from your soul that day, and you'll post it from your soul space, and it's the truth. It's search for the truth. And so I'll finish with this I want you to wrap your mind, just think about your ultimate impact. When we remember Daniel Kreisel, what will we say? And so your ultimate impact, and number 8 of your 8 strategies now, is courage. The courage to be vulnerable. It takes courage. The courage to ask for help. The courage to pivot. So much courage is at the base of everything.
Courage to fail.
Courage to fail, right? And you never fail until you quit. But
exactly.
Truth. Your final goal is he's searching for truth. And that's the same thing I'm searching for. That's what the whole personal mastery brand is, searching for truth. Who is Daniel?
Yeah.
Who is he? At the end of the day, when we look in the mirror, we want to see, I recognize you. I see you. I see you. When you see yourself, you see you. So saying all that, tell me about, you're laying on the last breath. What did you do?
I'll say this too. Right now, I think one reason I'm in such a good spot, and you're seeing that conscious mind, is I feel like I am my truest, authentic self as I've ever been right now.
Yeah.
Right. I won't deep dive into my character, but like you've already got 8 points on it. But right now, I feel like I'm thriving at who Daniel Kreisel was supposed to be 10 years ago, and creating who I want to be in 20 years. But if I'm on my deathbed, what do people say about me? I want to be able to change lives. I've already done that. I could literally die right now and be like, I impacted somebody. I had a girl, she had to quit. She's pregnant. She sent me a 5-minute video crying of like how I'm a brother to her now. I've changed her life. Not just this girl couldn't look in the mirror at herself. Like literally 2 sessions in, I put her in front of a Smith machine to do a thing, and she's like this. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I can't. I'm like, what? Like
Wow.
that's when we had this hard conversation. It's like, I don't care if you lose 100 pounds. If you can't look at yourself now, that took time. Of course, she didn't look at herself in the mirror right there, but now she's taking selfies. She's doing that. Cried to me.
Amazing.
Um, I got one girl. She's been with me for close to a year now. She just got on because her sister got on, helped her lose 40 pounds. Now she's on this big health kick. She got all the plastics out her house. She's holistic. She's a mental health coach as well. She owns her own business. So she was just thinking, oh, I just need to help people with their mind. No, it's all about what you're putting in. So I've impacted her. I just want to be on my deathbed. I want people to say that's a good guy. He was big as hell, and swole, and looked good. Have some Jordans on my feet, probably laying in the casket.
There you go. Done. Love it.
But I want to be funny, like you were saying too. What did I like when I was a kid, man? My first what I wanted to be was a comedian. My first job ever. Everybody wanted to be an astronaut when in kindergarten. I wrote on that piece of paper, I want to be a stand-up comedian.
Love it.
You know, so I want to be funny. I want to be vulnerable, and I want to be real. I want people to, like, you know, some people might take that as brash or whatever, but I want to be able to just give my opinion when, you know, I feel if I want to set up a boundary right now, I don't let people kind of cross me, right? Like I set up a boundary there. Like I don't let things just like quit quick. I set my boundary up quick. Some people think that's, you know, kind of what I'm like. I don't talk to me like that. You know, I don't like that verbiage, you know? So I set my boundaries quick, and I just want to be, you know, at the end of the day, respected, appreciated.
Yeah. Respect. Yeah. There we go. Love it. Respected and appreciated. Love it. So how can someone listening get a little bit more of DC? How can they get a little bit more DC? Where can they find you to get inspired?
Yeah.
To maybe even hire you to
speak. And so you can find me on IG, trained by _DC, trained, not trained. A lot of people get that one confused. So it's trained by _DC. You can look me up by my name, Daniel Kreisel too. And I do more than just personal training. I do want to get into the mastery mindset type, you know, things that you do, Alvin. And I've noticed that with my clients. And I got a saying that I want to, probably shouldn't even say, I want to copyright it first. Should is my clients come to me for the physical changes, but they stay for the mental, you know, because I'm a mental guy. And if you go look at my posts, I fell in love with writing a little bit. You know, I used to be doubtful about that, but as you can see on my post, it's a mix between motivation and my writing and my poetry and how I feel. I think that's why it's authentic, because it's me sitting out there having a cup of coffee, creating this from my heart and my, you know, what I think somebody out there might need to read, because this is how I'm feeling, you know. I might think about a certain subject and then speak on it, but it's an emotion coming out, right? So if anybody wants to follow me, trained by DC _ or trained by _DC, you can follow me on Facebook, Daniel Kreisel.
Love it. Love it. And that'll all be in the show notes, everybody. So in summary, let's see. Daniel, he decides what he wants. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a decision. And when he decides, he cuts off all options. He quits quick. And with that fate that something's going to happen, right? So when he quit quick, he knows the universe loves speed. He quits quick. But when he quits quick, he asks for help. And he's ready to pivot, ready to change, ready to shift. He's curious, constantly curious. Number 6, he's vulnerable. He's vulnerable. He's open to change. He's open to, you know, let someone in, ready for taking that next step, which calls for vulnerability and courage. Shows courage. And last, gratitude. He's grateful for what he has, which opens up the door for more. And he comes, you know, it's all going to happen. It's just the beginning. He's going to get what he wants in due time, but he's going to pay his dues and monitor it along the way. So DC, amazing, man. Appreciate you. And
grateful for you having me, man. Really.
When you release that book, hey man, it's my absolute pleasure. I had to get you on, man. And guess what? I'm making space for when you release that book, I get you back on again.
I started my memos already, man. I got about 20, 30 minutes of my voice memos, just kind of like what I'm doing first is I'm going to lay out my life,
Yeah.
kind of like you said, get the emotions out. So I want to do voice memos first so I can, like, as I go through my life with voice memos, I'll type out what I think,
Yeah.
needs to be put on paper, and then maybe like speak on that event. But I want to get I want you to get me to send me that note that you
I'm
took
sending you.
so I can see that form, because we just create, because my book, I'm going to call it right now I want it to be called Inventing DC. How did I create this character? Because this was not happened. I didn't wake up like this, out from birth. This was an accumulation of trauma, accumulation of bad events that I didn't even see them in the moment as being, opportunities. But now I have a green light, yellow light, red light mindset. So now that I see all these opportunities, I can categorize them for what they are,
Love it,
so
man.
I
Love
appreciate
it.
you having me, man.
Love it, man. Appreciate you. I've got my title for this one is The Universe Loves Speed or
Yeah.
Quit Quick. One of those, but you're
I
gonna
like
get
it.
that one.
Either way, whichever
All
one
right.
you pick, it was fate.
Done. You're doing it. All right, brother. I appreciate you.
Hey, have
All
a
right.
great day, Alvin.
All right, everybody. So this is it. Masterclass. We had an amazing session. Take your notes. Success leaves clues. And I'm gonna leave you one quote my mentor told me. One idea, well executed, will change your life forever. So whatever one idea, you don't need 20 of these to say this was a valuable podcast. You need one, whether it be quit quick, have faith, practice faith, be vulnerable, ask for help, whatever it is, one idea. Which one would be that will change your life forever? Apply it. All right. Until next time, if you know someone who also needs to hear this information, please subscribe, like, share. We want to get everybody to just jump off that treadmill and start to just look at life, man. Don't get through it, get from it. All right. Until next time. Peace and love.
Peace out, Alvin. Appreciate you.
Got it, brother.